Hello friends, this week chapter 21 of Baki Rahen was released, and in this video, we're going to analyze it. So, please take a seat and join me in this epic father-son confrontation. In the previous chapter, we witnessed the beginning of this fight. Jack had provoked Yujiro with a couple of words loaded with sarcasm and reality. Yujiro tried to maintain his composure, but he was the one who stood up first. He couldn't hold back and asked Jack to do the same and come take what he came for. Jack, of course, accepted his father's invitation and stood up, but not before saying that perhaps it was Yujiro who was looking for a confrontation. After all, this father-son dinner had been nothing more than a pretext to reach this moment. Jack stood in front of his father and, without any fear, asked if he had already reached the level of making the great Yujiro this tense. These words made Yujiro start to tremble, as if he was going to explode at any moment. However, he repressed all his anger in a second and let it out in the form of laughter. The ogre started laughing like a psychopath, and Jack could only watch with a bewildered look. This was not what he expected. After a while of laughing, the ogre managed to calm down and admitted that Jack had brought some tears to his eyes with his words. However, now it was time to return the favor. Yujiro demanded his son to stand up straight. Jack unconsciously obeyed and stood firm. His body had acted on its own in response to his father's order. Yujiro, without wasting a second, stood behind Jack and delivered a powerful whip-like slap with his open hand. The impact was so great that Jack couldn't contain the pain and let some tears fall from his eyes. That explosive way is how the previous chapter ended. The chapter begins by showing us a panoramic view of the city, highlighting the building where father and son were having their confrontation. Inside the building, a very loud sound is heard, as if a bomb had exploded in the private room of that place. The diners in that restaurant were shocked by this explosion. This loud sound made many of them wonder what had caused it. Everyone present stood up with faces of anguish and concern, trying to find the cause of that rumble. Suddenly, an even louder crash is heard. All the diners begin to feel the building shaking violently, causing these people to become more agitated. Immediately, everyone panics. Some believe it is an earthquake, others think it is some kind of explosion in the building, so they start running, looking for the emergency exits. The waiter tries to calm everyone down, explaining that this was not an earthquake. He already suspected what was happening, so he quickly decides to go to the private room where Jack and Yujiro were supposed to be dining. Once he opens the door, the waiter is greatly surprised to see how that gigantic man is immobilized with his face stuck in the thick window glass. It was as if a car had crashed into a concrete wall. Jack had slammed his entire face into that glass, but luckily he had not fallen out of the building. It was clear that the glass was different from the usual ones. Otherwise, Jack would have gone through the wall and fallen from that height. Seeing this, the waiter with great fear asks the ogre what had happened in that place. Yujiro responds that this was nothing, just a small family discussion, a small fight between father and son. The ogre claims that this happens in all families. It is something normal. Obviously, the waiter cannot believe that this is normal and questions the ogre's words. Jack was motionless with his face pressed against the glass. He seemed to be unconscious. Yujiro tells the waiter that there is something he noticed this time. The ogre, with fury, asks the waiter if they had changed the glass in the windows of that place, as it now seemed to be much more resistant than regular glass. The waiter, very fearful, informs Yujiro that due to the events that occurred some time ago, when he had his confrontation with his son Baki, and seeing that they broke the glass even though it was safety glass, the management had decided to install much more resistant glass to prevent any accidents. Yujiro says he understands why this time the glass didn't completely break, although he is disappointed to learn this, as his intention was to throw Jack out of the building. The waiter immediately interrupts him and says that it is thanks to this new glass that his son is inside the room. That glass prevented his fall and a tragic end for him. Yujiro, with fury, tells him that falling from the building is a problem that should only concern the person who falls, not the one who makes the throw. The waiter, very fearful, agrees with the ogre. Yujiro tells the waiter that he shouldn't worry about Jack, that this man wouldn't suffer any significant damage from falling the mere 40 floors. Suddenly, a laugh is heard coming from the other side of the glass, a sound that immediately catches the attention of both the waiter and Yujiro. They both turn to see. The laugh came from Jack, who, despite having some wounds on his face from the broken glass, seemed to be happily contemplating the beautiful view he had at that moment. From that point, Jack could see a large part of the city illuminated on that dark night, his eyes shining from the city lights, and despite being in an uncomfortable position, it did not prevent him from enjoying the scenery. The cyborg proceeds to hit the window with his two large fists, causing another loud crash in that place. He did this to free his head from the broken glass, something that was not difficult for him to achieve. Jack was free again and seemed ready to continue the fight, which frightened the waiter even more. But Yujiro just looked at him without concern, with his hands in his pockets. Jack turns to his father and tells him that he appreciated hearing those words he mentioned about him, saying that Jack was a tough guy who couldn't die from a fall from such a great height. And while he was right, let's remember that time when Yujiro and Baki fell from the same height and nothing happened to them. Yujiro seemed very calm at that moment, but the waiter was extremely impressed and scared. He didn't know how to react. Jack says that it is a great compliment to hear his father, the strongest creature on earth, speak of the strength and endurance his son possesses. Jack confesses that if he fell from that height, the only thing that would get damaged would be the pavement where his body crashed. It doesn't matter if it's a height of 100 or 200 meters. Jack was confident that he wouldn't suffer significant harm if he fell straight to the ground. Who knows, maybe he has already trained his endurance by falling from great heights. We've seen little of his new training, so it's possible. Jack mentions that he didn't plan to take shortcuts to get home. This time, he wanted to leave like a normal person by using the elevator. He said this because he could have used the fall to escape the place, which would have been a very cowardly move. The biting cyborg thanks his father for inviting him to dinner, expressing how delicious the food was and how much he enjoyed the moment. Jack thanks his father and turns away, not without first saying that the previous blow was worth it. That exchange of words they had during dinner was, in fact, a fight of ideals and values. Jack tried to make Yujiro see that he is not someone normal, no matter how much he wants to be. Once Jack leaves the building while looking up, he states that this had been a great day. Additionally, he thinks about what would have happened if that thick glass had broken and he had fallen from that great height. Jack imagines himself falling to the ground and emphasizes that if that had happened, without a doubt, he would have ruined the pavement, implying that his body is too tough and heavy even for concrete. People passing by on the street can't help but turn to look at this enormous figure. His mere presence was intimidating. With Jack returning home is how Chapter 21 ends. It seems that the manga will take a week off, so we'll have to wait to find out what's next for the biting cyborg. Alright friends, we didn't get the fight many of us imagined, but personally, I'm not disappointed. I think it's still too early for Yujiro and Jack to have the showdown we're all waiting for. Jack has to defeat Pickle and Baki before going after the strongest creature on Earth. Jack himself seemed to understand that he still lacked something before he could face his father, and that's why he left. I didn't see it as a cowardly retreat. In fact, he left elegantly and without any fear of his father. Come on, if Yujiro had seen that retreat as a cowardly action, he would have said it to his face. Instead, he seemed to accept his son's decision to postpone the fight for another day. A cowardly retreat was what Kahaya did. Remember when he fought Yujiro? He took advantage of the moment when the ogre kicked him away and escaped without warning. Jack could have done the same if that glass had broken. In fact, he said he wasn't going to take shortcuts like that, and that's why he was going to use the elevator. It's not that Jack feels incapable of facing Yujiro, but he knows that it could be his last fight, and that's why he decided to postpone it. Jack still has to defeat Pickle to restore his honor. Remember that the caveman humiliated him twice, which is something Jack's pride hasn't forgotten. On the other hand, he has to defeat his brother Baki, perhaps as his final test. If he can't beat Baki, he shouldn't try his luck with Yujiro. Analyzing this small confrontation, we can highlight two things. The first is that Jack still desires to face and defeat his father, but has matured a lot and doesn't make impulsive decisions. If it had been the old Jack, he would have gone all out from the start, regardless of the fact that his vision wasn't fully recovered yet. The second thing to highlight is that Yujiro has recognized Jack as a worthy opponent. He attacked him with the intention of throwing him out of the building, but still knew that Jack would survive such a great fall. The ogre acknowledged his son's power and endurance, just as he did with Baki in the past. But without a doubt, the greatest proof that Jack has earned Yujiro's respect are the compliments he gave him in Chapter 8. On that occasion, he praised his determination to undergo such harsh training. Then, at this father-son dinner, Yujiro recognized Jack as his son, saying there was nothing wrong with a father inviting his son to dinner. He practically told him that he is his son. But well, I'll make a video covering this confrontation and doing a deeper analysis. If you want to participate in that video, just let me know your opinions about it. Tell me how you see the evolution in the family relationship between Yujiro and Jack. Let me know if you like the character development of Jack and Yujiro, and share what things you didn't like. I also wanted to mention that sometimes the chapters take a while to be uploaded to the channel because I try to add color to the panels. It's hard to color the entire chapter, but I make an effort to bring some panels to life. Let me know if you like the chapters with some color, or if you prefer the video to come out sooner without colored panels. Now, leave me your opinions about this chapter, and tell me if you want me to talk about other series besides Baki. And well, friends, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.